The musical landscape of the 1960s and 70s was a battleground for iconic talents, with the Beatles at the forefront of this revolutionary era. However, not all interactions among these legends were harmonious. Here's a look into the 5 musical acts that found themselves on the receiving end of the Beatles' scathing criticism. The Hollies' misstep with George Harrison. George Harrison's grievance with the Hollies began when they covered his song If I Needed Someone, coinciding with its release on the Beatles' album Rubber Soul in 1965. Harrison, expressing his dissatisfaction to an NME writer who'd stated, "I see you've written one for the Hollies." Harrison quickly clarified, "Tell people that I didn't write it for the Hollies," dismissing their version as rubbish and criticizing their technical but soulless musical approach. This critique sparked an immediate and intense feud, highlighted by Graham Nash's rebuttal expressing his exhaustion with the Beatles' overwhelming scrutiny. John Lennon and his disdain for blood, sweat, and tears. John Lennon, known for his sharp tongue, shared his unfiltered opinions with Rolling Stone in 1971, present a Neil Young fan. Despite his quiet persona, Harrison didn't shy away from expressing his dislike for Neil Young's music and guitar style. In a candid moment captured during a studio session with Bob Geldof, Harrison admitted, "I'm not a Neil Young fan," criticizing Young's guitar technique, saying, "I hate it. Yeah, I can't stand it."
I'm not a Neil Young fan personally. I
just think his lead playing is just...
I hate it.
Do you?
Yeah, I can't stand it. I mean, it's that one string. I mean, it's good for a laugh, but you know, the thing is, he's serious.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. He was on. We did this show with him.
The Dylan thing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I could just hear it coming from the other side of the stage, and. I don't know, I looked around, looked at Eric, like, is that, what's going on with this? Like, he did the solo in the middle, and then he just kind of looked at me like, don't look at me, it's not me.
John Lennon's falling out of love with Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, once a towering figure in John Lennon's musical influences, eventually became a subject of his critique. Reflecting on Presley's song Devil in Disguise, Lennon lamented the decline of his former hero, comparing him unfavorably to Bing Crosby and expressing his disapproval of Presley's musical direction. "Well, I've got all his early records and I keep playing them. He mustn't make another like this. But somebody said today he sounds like Bing Crosby now, and he does. I don't like him anymore." Paul McCartney's cold shoulder to Phil Collins. Phil Collins, a self-professed Beatles aficionado, recounted a disheartening encounter with Paul McCartney in 2002. Expecting a warm exchange, Collins was instead met with condescension, a moment that soured his view of McCartney. In 2016, Collins told the Sunday Times, "I met him when I was working at the Buckingham Palace party back in 2002. McCartney came up with Heather Mills, and I had a first edition of The Beatles by Hunter Davies, and I said, 'Hey Paul, do you mind signing this for me?' And he said, 'Oh Heather, our little Phil's a bit of a Beatles fan.' And I thought, you shit, I never forgot it."